Hey guys, I know that you're here for the podcast episode. Thank you so much for your support. Real quick, I wanted to tell you about my business. That's STSG Marketing. When it comes to social media, it's a must for your business. If you're not doing it, you're missing out on tons of new clients and a way to engage with your old ones. So it's just super important. That's what I do. I can create content for you. I can manage your social media for you. I can coach you on how to grow your business through social media organically. If that's something you want to hand with, I would love to help you. Cruise over to my website. That's stsgmarketing.com. I would love to help you. Now let's get into the episode. Hey guys, thanks for joining me again. I'm so excited to be a part of your day. Skyler here, your host, Sky the Service Guy. Today, I'm going to be joined by Emily Aborn. We're going to get into everything from copywriting to podcasting and investing in your business.
Sky, the service guy, staying up late at night, doing podcasts all the time, talking about service, yeah, that's right. Yeah, we got the sales, we got the knowledge to make a bill. We just paying bills, all we know is time will tell. Sky, the service guy.
Today, we're joined by Emily Aborn. Emily's a multi-talented woman. Not only does she host 2 podcasts, she built this and Content with Character, but she's also an acclaimed copywriter with almost a decade of entrepreneurial experience. She's written for almost 100 different small business industries. Whether you need help strategizing or refreshing your business, Emily is your go-to. Emily, thank you for being on the show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great. Thanks for having me, Skyler.
I'm so excited to talk to you. We had a great pre-call. I felt like there was like a ton of like natural chemistry. So I really appreciate you just taking the time out of your day to help me and hopefully my couple hundred audience members.
Well, it is truly my pleasure and honor. So thank you.
Well, so today we're going to focus on 3 main points. I always try to do 3 main points just to keep us on track and keep it simple. I really want to dive into your journey through healthcare and education to how you got into copywriting. I also want to talk about how you market yourself, how you balance the time between marketing yourself, your podcasts, and your business. And then the final thing I want to do is take a deep dive on investing in your business. We talked a little bit about that in the pre-call on the do's, the do-nots, what we could do if we could do it all over again. Does that sound good to you?
That sounds perfect. I'm ready for it.
Well, let's start at the beginning. You went to college at Malone University in my home state. So if you lived here for any amount of time, you're a Buckeye. So,
All right. Also
now,
a delicious treat that I learned about in Ohio.
It doesn't get any better than a peanut butter chocolate covered candy.
It's so true.
You went for health education, and now you're this acclaimed copywriter with 2 podcasts. How do we get from point A to point B?
Yeah, great question. Doesn't make much sense on paper. So I was actually thinking about it today, like before I had even read the questions or, what you had said sort of was the direction.
Sure.
When I was in high school, I was like that kid that was really interested in biology class and health class and nutrition class. I think what it boiled down to is I just really liked reading the labels of like cereal boxes and things because I
Okay.
didn't have anything else to read at breakfast at the time.
Sure.
So I was that kid that read like the marketing stuff on the pack of cereal boxes, including the nutrition labels. When I was in high school, this woman came to my high school and spoke we had like chapel every day. So she came in and she like told us about the body and like all the different ways the body worked and stuff. And I saw her up there and she was like very eloquent and she presented it so beautifully and like inspired us all, to like take care of ourselves. And I was like, all right, when I grow up, I'm doing what that woman is doing. That was literally it. And so I went up to her afterwards and I said, tell me what I need to do what you're doing. And she's like, well, I'm a chiropractor, so you're going to have to go through X amount of years of school. And I was like, oh, no. That doesn't sound fun. I was like, I don't want to touch people. I just want to teach. Yeah, I just want to teach people. So she's like, well, you could pursue a degree in health education. So that was
Okay.
exactly what I did. I pursued a degree in health education, and my goal was really to like come out and like teach people, work with people one-on-one. I always joke that I was like a health coach before health coaches were cool. Like I
Okay.
did that kind of thing. But I kept on working. I actually ended up working for that same woman right out of college. Like
What?
she said to me, "When you get your degree, come back and get a job." And I was like, 100% that is what I'm doing. So I
Yeah.
knocked on their door and I'm like, "I'm ready for that job you said you were going to give me." So I started as like their chiropractic assistant, just kind of like at the front desk and doing
Okay.
things like that, managing patients and stuff. But I also gave workshops in their office. And as I was
Okay.
doing that, I also got like other things put on my plate, like taking care of the newsletters and writing brochures and, doing the write ups for the workshops and stuff like that.
Okay.
So that's already like been planted as a seed. Like, this is fun.
Right.
Additionally, she's very entrepreneurial. I have always been very entrepreneurial, and I think that I got to see her as an example of like, this is the passion you want for your business, right? Like, this is the passion you want running the ship. So, long chain of, I mean, I've had like 42 jobs. I don't work well for others. I really don't. I've quit every job. And I've had a lot of them.
I
And a
love
lot
it.
of them were chiropractors. A lot were like health related, but I never really could just find the health education job that like I wanted to use my degree for.
Okay.
S- And I kept finding myself in like these little like marketing roles everywhere that I went. And always like, how can we make the business better? Like, how can we get your name out there to more people everywhere I went? So eventually, in 2014, full circle, no joke, I start working for we moved back to New Hampshire from North Carolina, and I start working for the exact same chiropractor that I started at out of college. As her front desk person, as her community health educator. It was fine. But what I saw was that I did not have that passion for, like, the work that I was doing like she did.
Sure.
And she's, like, the kind of person that you can't be in her presence if you're not happy where you are. Like, it's just, like,
Right.
extra miserable because you watch somebody that is, like, so happy and ready to go, and you're like, "I don't enjoy this. What's wrong with me?" So,
Right.
I knew I wanted to own my own business, and I presented this idea to my husband of a non-toxic bedding and mattress store, still in line
Yeah.
like, on paper, I'm justifying it, like, still in line with my health track, you know?
Sure.
But the revenue model was just like, a no-brainer. It all made sense. We live in a community that's very natural-minded and, like, organic and takes care of themselves and stuff,
Sure.
and it's a very affluent community, so it made a lot of sense. So, we went for it. We just, like, opened this mattress store, um,
Was it
and we
retail or online or appointment
yes,
only? How did you do it?
re retail, yes,
Okay.
yes, and also by appointment. So
Okay.
I was there, like, let's see, Sunday through Sunday. Yep. Wait, no, 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 hold on. I'm like, "What days am I missing?" We were closed on Mondays and Tuesdays, but I
Okay.
always found myself there on Mondays and Tuesdays for appointments anyway, so I was there
Sure.
all the time. And what I loved was working with the customers. I loved giving them like good customer experience. I loved the marketing. I loved all of that behind the scenes stuff. What I really did not like was selling. Like, I just really hated being on the sales floor. I also
Mm.
hated being stuck in my own shop. Like, I had like built these four walls, and it was just like a prison that every single day I
Right.
had to go there, be there, and I was stuck. So eventually, in addition to that, like, I kind of woke up one day, life sort of threw me one of those wake up calls where it's like, hey, guess what? Life's not eternal. You don't have
Right.
forever to do what you want to be doing. And I was like, wow, I need to figure out what I really do want to be doing. And also at the same time, the mattress industry was shifting a lot because of like these bed in a box and things there was no way I could compete with like this online
I
ordering,
was
you know?
I was gonna ask you if that impacted you guys.
Yeah, so we saw the writing on the wall, and I'm really grateful we closed when we did because I think about having to go through that, like, during the pandemic, and I'm like, "Wow," like, I feel so,
Right.
so lucky that I built my business before that happened, my current
Right.
business. So we closed our store in 2018, and as we were sorta, like, pivoting away from that, I just started like saying to basically, I had a lot of business owner friends, like lots of entrepreneurs. And I was like, hey, I'll do anything related to your marketing. Like I will do anything related to your content, your social media, whatever you need. I'm your girl. I got it. And that was how I started my business. I walked out of there. My husband had said to me, if you're not able to make this work, we're going to have to like see what jobs are out there for you. And I was like, okay, no,
Oh,
fair enough. Right. Fair enough.
yeah, I'll make it
And
work.
yeah, exactly. And when I walked out of there, I think I had 10 clients paying me on a monthly basis.
Wow.
And that quickly just like ballooned out of control. And you'll learn this too when it comes to social media marketing and managing. There's a
Mhm.
very, very high demand for it because nobody wants to do it themselves because it is a really, really hard part of running your business for a lot of people. So
Sure.
that kind of with some fine tuning and some refining, like what I offer, how I offer it, that's kind of how I made that very long transition. Let's say 21-year transition from health education to where I am now.
Yeah, chiropractic, mattresses, copywriting.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. That's so awesome. So now you're established in your business where things are going good. You have your podcasts. How do you juggle all that? See, I'm doing one and it feels like a lot. How do you do it?
Okay. In fairness, to a lot of people listening, I don't have children. So
Okay.
I have a lot less constraints on my time from like outside forces, right? It's a lot of what
Okay.
I choose to do with my time, as opposed to a lot of people have families that they have to take care of every single day. So that's one thing. Secondly, I definitely don't do 2 weekly podcasts like for both shows, right?
Right.
So with my She Built This podcast, I'm even decreasing the frequency more. Oh, I love the little plug on the screen. I'm even decreasing the frequency more. So like right now it's every other week, and I will be moving that to like once a month in the coming year.
Now,
My
what was the
content.
purpose of that one originally?
Yeah, so the She Built This podcast, I mean, She Built This used to be like local events and a community and a lot of things. Like it was an entire second business for me.
Yeah.
So now I use, or not, I shouldn't say use, but now that podcast is really a great collaboration piece of my business where I get to bring guests on. But my other podcast, the Content with Character podcast, is a totally solo show. So it's just me. I don't use it as a collaborative piece of my business. I use that as a marketing piece. So if you
Okay.
want to think about it like that, if you want to like justify it, like
Yeah,
the
it's two
pod,
arms, right? Two
right,
hands.
right. And the
I love
podcast
that.
is part of my marketing. So, and I'm a big believer in like not overcomplicating our marketing. So
Okay.
meaning if I create a podcast episode, how else can I use that podcast episode so I literally don't have to create anything else that week? How can I turn it
Right.
into an email? How can I turn it into all my social media posts? How can I turn it into a blog? Like I don't want to have to create 20 pieces of content every single week. I want to create
Sure.
one and then break it down into other ways. So that's sort of how I balance the time. And I also will say this, I'm a time philanthropist.
Okay. What's that mean?
So, yeah. So I like to give my time away, and
Mm,
it does not serve my business well, and it does not serve me well, my energy well. And that's like a really hard lesson that comes, the way to overcome that is like really, really good boundaries and being
okay.
really clear on what you say yes to and what you say no to. And I'm getting better. That is a work in progress, but that
I've
has
got the
been
same
my,
issue.
yeah, that's my Achilles heel is just like wanting to say yes to anyone and everyone that needs my quote unquote help. It's not even like I don't have FOMO. It's not like that. It's just like, oh, you need my help? I'll help you.
Right.
And I don't think that's a healthy way as a business owner to manage and balance things because you're just going to be running in a million different directions for every single other person
Sure.
except yourself.
I bet you have some clients with really strong relationships, though, because of that at the same time, right? There's got to be some positive to it.
I pride myself on a very good client experience. I'll say that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
totally fair. So I guess kind of transitioning into your business, kind of backpedaling to something you mentioned at the very beginning of the episode, you didn't really care for selling, at least the mattresses. And then by the time it was time to leave the mattresses, you already had 10 clients.
Mm.
How do we go from not enjoying selling to crushing it before we're even in the business?
I think I had a guest on my podcast once on my She Built This podcast named Lisa Dad, and she talks about soul sales.
Okay.
So what she does is she helps you find your selling archetype. And like there's
Ah,
all these different archetypes. Like some of us sell in the sort of like a more I'm not going to say pushy because that's not the right word, but more of like
oh,
a
that's
direct
me.
manner. Yeah. So like more direct where you're just really comfortable saying this is what I offer. I want to
Right.
make the sale and then going for it. And then some people sell through like a storytelling style. Some people
Okay.
sell through an inspirational style, right? So they're like, here's what we can accomplish together. So I think a lot of it was learning how I sell. Like I really like to sell through like excitement and like, here's what we can do together.
Sure.
And when I'm excited about something, it doesn't feel like I'm selling something. I'm just like,
Sure. That's true.
I'm just going to be cheering you on. Here's how I cheer you on. You pay me X amount of dollars and I write your website copy for you. So I think that's what it is it was like a difference in the energy of how I was selling things. And also for me, it's always easier to sell something I can definitely back than like a
Okay.
product that I'm like, I don't know if it breaks
Sure.
in 5 years. It's not my fault. Don't call
Yeah.
me.
Well, and that's why I love selling service because it's more about what you mentioned, that customer experience than anything, right? And if something's not perfect, it's actually a good thing in service because then you get a chance to fix
Yeah.
it, to actually give someone a great experience. Because most of the time with any company or any product, something's going to go wrong. It's not a matter
Yeah.
of if, it's when, right? So being good to people goes a long way. Um, Starting a business can be expensive. And when you start to dig into whatever you want to do, even like what I'm trying to do, similar to what you do, there's a gazillion things out there to spend money on. How do we prioritize what we spend on and what we invest in our business versus our time tongue tied? You know the word I'm trying to say.
I think so.
Philanthropy,
Time
right?
philanthropy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Forgive me. Goodness gracious. Too much caffeine today. So, how do we trade our time for an investment in our business?
Okay, so I'm going to give a couple of examples and I'm going to
Please.
mostly talk about a website because that's like it's an easy to understand example. So,
Okay.
when we opened our mattress store, we started with like this web designer who like I knew a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend. It was like that kind of situation.
Okay.
And it was like such a cheap price. Like we're like, okay, done, count us in. So we hired this guy, and I don't really know what happened, but he ended up leaving us with no website and half of our money.
Oh, no.
And and so you know the adage, like you get what you pay for, right?
Sure.
So yeah. So we go from there to me doing it myself. Like I'm sitting at the computer, like on Wix, like building a website. That website, I didn't know what I was doing with search engine optimization. I didn't know what I was doing with like making sure the website actually loads properly. Nobody could find our store. Like nobody. We didn't show up on Google, none of it. So we ended up, I'd say a year and a half in, we ended up investing it felt substantial, right? From like all the prices we'd gotten for websites and
Sure.
also as a contrast to the DIY, felt like a big investment for our website. Well, that website was SEO optimized. It was, all the images were correct. It was stunning, beautiful. People could find us. I got help with like Google ads and Facebook ads. Like it felt like a lot. But two website payments is one client. So it's like that's how I justified it. Like I
Okay.
was like, all right, I pay for this basically with the clients that I'm bringing in. Um I think that when you're trying to consider whether like you want to do something yourself or have somebody else doing it, you have to really ask like what is important to you. For me, it was really, really important that my brick and mortar business got found on Google because otherwise
Right.
no one was coming into the store in the first place. It
Yeah.
was
We need them to
also
come sit on the bed, right? If we're going to sell it.
exactly. It was also really, really important to me that it had functionality so people could like purchase on the actual website itself. I didn't know how to do
Right.
those things. So there was a lot of things I just didn't even know how to do. But here's what I would say. Do I want to pay for this thing twice? either actually financially, or do I want to
Ooh,
pay for this thing to be done right the first time once?
right.
And I say that with people with copy too, because it's like you're gonna sit there at your computer and think and then overthink and then rethink and then edit. And it's gonna take you, 7 times as long as if you just hired somebody to do it. And they're gonna do it right the first time. Whereas when
Right.
you bring me in and you've already like made a mess of things, it's like, okay, clean
Are
up.
you
I'll
looking for new clients?
I am always accepting the right clients.
Ah, there you go. So we got to find you on EmilyAborn.com. And am I saying your last name right? I meant to ask
Yes.
you. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
That's one
It's
of my
like
pet peeves.
acorn with a B.
Gotcha. Perfect. Kind of going back to my investing question, it seems like when we're putting out content and we're looking for that right client, how often or what, I guess, what triggers are you looking for in the perfect client to invest your time in?
Me specifically.
Yeah. So like if you're going to bring on company XYZ, what things do you look for in that business to decide if they're going to be the right client for you, the right fit?
Okay, one thing, and this is me personally, one thing I really value in a client when I'm building a client relationship is responsiveness. Meaning, not that they need to email me back right away, but when somebody sits, I have a client portal and I can see when I send them a proposal that they've read through the proposal. I can also see like what pages they clicked on. So I
Oh,
know, I know when somebody's actually any email I send them, I can see that they've opened it. So
okay.
when I can clearly see somebody's, we had a great connection, we had a great conversation, then they get my proposal or any email from me, I can see that they've read it, and then I don't get a reply for sometimes weeks. It's not it may be a price thing, it may not be a price thing, but I can
Sure.
often tell from that place that a person isn't as motivated to get started as I would like them to be. I like people who are like ready to go, excited to go, because for me, excitement is the best kind of client I can get started
Right.
with. Somebody that's like, I am really ready. It's a partnership for me, it's a
Right.
collaboration, like we have to be working alongside each other.
Yes.
So that's one thing is like a responsiveness. And that could be like even on a call, like you could get like this response from somebody that's sort of like not the right, I'm going to say vibe for lack of a better word, where you're like, I don't think they're
Sure.
actually into this. So that's one. And then I actually do welcome questions. Like I really like when clients have a lot of questions. Again, that shows that they're like maybe interested in it or invested in it. I think when I get too many questions that start to like get
Yeah, there's a fine
into
line. Like,
yeah, when they're going
you
through
know,
every single piece of my process, or like when they're like, why do you do this? Why do you do this? Why do you do this? And I can almost always I can look back and I can be like, I should have said no to that client,
right.
because it's those ones that challenge me on what I'm doing, challenge maybe my genius that I tend to not do well with as we keep going through the project. So that probably, to sum that up into one word, is trust. Like you have to trust that I know what I'm going to do, trust my process, and trust that like I'm in this for you.
Let's say we make the mistake of hiring the wrong client.
Mm.
How do we let them go?
Okay, so if you're talking about like a retainer, which I've been there many, many times where I've had a retainer client and it's just been really, really bad.
Yeah.
Sometimes I will say that I'm changing the way that I'm doing my services. And so I'll be like, I don't offer this service in this way anymore. Sometimes I'll say that I'm raising my prices, and I will actually raise
Sure.
their price. And that's, you can usually get a sense like, is that actually going to be the make it or break it?
Right.
Um, but when it comes to like I don't give up on somebody that, because my project fee, they would pay me up front, and then I
Okay.
kind of am with them through the whole entire project. And I've had some really, really challenging clients, and I don't give up on them. I keep on like, I'm like, this is going to teach me something and it's going to be better on the other side. I'm going to be better on the other side. But when it comes to retainer work, I think like I want to encourage people that it's okay to let clients go that are not a good
Sure.
fit. because you're not showing up your best when you're working on their stuff if it's not a good fit. And
Correct.
also, you don't need, if they're like truly like a rough person or difficult person, like you don't need that, so let that go. And I think a lot of it also comes with like trusting that you're going to be able to fill that space, and that is also hard. Some people will wait until they find a replacement for it and then let that person go, and I think that works too for a lot of people.
Sure.
I'm usually like, okay, I can feel that I don't like it, and let's goodbye.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you always charge up front for your projects, or did you
No,
ever do retainer work? Was there a transition to that?
I did have a retainer model previous to this, and then I shifted into projects. And so what I'm actually doing in the new year is I'm offering past clients only
Okay.
a sort of retainer piece that they could add on to their business. So meaning I already know that I like them. We've done a few projects together. They hire me back again and again to do things. And I'm like, hey, this would actually save you money. And we would save ourselves time and effort and things like that. So
Sure.
it's really only going to be for me now, like moving forward. The other idea for a retainer-based business is you could start with a small project. You could have something built in where you say, we're going to try this little project together and see how it goes, or we're going to try 1 month and see how it goes. And from there, we both get the mutual decision whether or not we want to keep on moving forward. You do have to watch out because sometimes people that are difficult will be like on their best behavior for the first month. And then once they start to get to know you and trust you, they're like, okay, now I can let my hair down and be nasty. But that is also a good way to go, is like experiment with something small together.
Okay.
And then take it from there. And then you also, like, we're both in the driver's seat, client and us. We all get to choose.
Right. If you could do it all over again, would you do anything different, or did it all happen the way it was supposed to happen?
It's really hard because I often think like, oh, I wish we had just skipped the mattress store portion, because I knew I've known I wanted to be a writer since I was like 5 years old,
Right.
And so I could have just skipped all that, but I learned so much in running the mattress store, and I also made so many connections and learned about like visibility and customer service. So I really like I don't know. I think every mistake we make in life just makes us like who we are today. So I can't actually say I would do anything differently. Maybe I would have gone to school for something a little more related to what I do today. How's
Sure.
that?
Like almost like a marketing or something like that.
Or
Yeah.
even psychology, just something.
What's funny is the lady I interviewed before you, she went to school for sociology. So
I mean, that's like a useful skill,
Yeah. And then she went from that to just marketer.
Yeah.
So very, very cool. Well, I mean, there you have it. I think you were an amazing guest, Emily. I'm so thankful that you took the time to come talk to me and spend your time with me and the audience here, and let us know really just your whole journey. I mean, I think that tells us a lot about where you start isn't always where you're going to finish
So
in
true.
life. Also what you shared about time versus money, I think is so valuable, and finding the right client and the right fit and doing a little bit of vetting on your own. And I know some of us here at the beginning, including myself, are desperate for work, but it's important to find the right fit for the long term, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's worth the wait.
So I would love to have you back again and check in with you from time to time. If you guys want to get in touch with Emily, there's her website there. And I'm going to include all of her other links in the description. That way you guys can get in touch with her. Please follow her, help her be more successful and more famous and more awesome than she already is. Emily, I will talk to you next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Skyler.
See you soon.
Sky, the service guy, staying up late at night, doing podcasts all the time, talking about service, yeah, that's right. Yeah, we got the sales. Do we got the knowledge to make a mill? We just paying bills. All we know is time will tell. Sky, the service guy.